Hello and welcome to 2020. So, of course, with a new year means a new bullet journal. So, I'm using the same one that I did last year, the Lecterm 1917. But before we get into this year's, let's just take a quick look at the end of last year. So, it's gotten quite the bit thicker, and I had to use this other notebook to finish out the year. So, one of the things that I did towards the end of the year when I was trying to plan out what I wanted to do for this year is I made this kind of like migration spread, just thinking about all of the things that worked and didn't work and what I wanted to redo and like rework or things I wanted to get rid of, that sort of thing. I even tried to plan out the amount of pages that each month and each like spread would take to kind of like contain the whole year in one notebook, but I think I'm going to not like live by that and just kind of use the pages as I want, and then maybe go into a second notebook at the end of the year. We'll have to see how that all worked out. And then just a brief look at how the end of last year turned out and how I ended up like using the spreads and everything like that. I really didn't like using this type of notebook for the end of the year. I only had 2 months left, so it seemed like a good idea, but I really don't like using this, so I'd rather have like 2 full journals than just like one like tiny small one. So I don't know, some of the stuff worked, some of it didn't, but you know, that's the way bullet journaling goes. It's not perfect every single time. So yeah. So yeah, like I said, this year I'm using the same sort of notebook, it's just a different color. I'm using the Lecterm 1917. I like this journal a lot. There are some pros and cons to it. I like the size of it. I generally like the amount of paper in it. I feel like it's one of the longer ones, but it does have a problem with like ghosting, where you can see like the paper is not very thick, essentially. So my title page, I'm basically using these Sailor Moon stickers. These are custom Sailor Moon stickers that my friend made me. She drew these and printed them herself, so I'm the only one with these stickers, so I can't really tell you where to get them, but I really like them. They're kind of all the Sailor Guardians, and they're like respective like knights that they're sort of all been paired off with. They're super cute, and I love my friend for making these for me. She gave me a bunch of them for my birthday, so I was very excited. So first we have our title page to tell us what year it is, I guess. So I decided I really like this kind of like patterned paper background sort of thing. So I have this old stuff that, or this paper from a paper pad that I got a long time ago. It's kind of white and gold, and I always associate gold with the start of the new year. It's kind of like shiny and new, and we'll see how everything like works out or something like that. I don't know, I really like gold as the starting color for the year. So initially I wrote this out with a pen, but I decided to go back over it with marker. I don't have any fancy like brush pens or anything like that, so I just use this Sharpie. I'm not good at calligraphy anyway, so just using this Sharpie to make the numbers stand out worked out just fine for my purposes. I kind of thickened up the lines a little bit in some places to give it a little bit of, I don't know, style and to stand out a little bit more. But generally I like the way it worked out. I guess it's just like part of my philosophy that you don't need a bunch of fancy stuff to bullet journal. Like, don't be afraid of using what you have. If you don't have anything fancy. So I'm adding this gold washi tape that doesn't stick anymore because it's very old and not very good. So I just put some double-sided tape on the back of it and kind of decorate it that way. And just lots of different gold washi tapes, and then this kind of like navy blue really thin one that I really liked. There's no rhyme or reason to, I didn't plan this out. I actually didn't decide to put washi tape on here in the first place. I thought it was just going to be just the numbers 2020, but it looked a little plain, so I added some washi tape patterns in certain places. So the first page, as always in my um, bullet journal, is my TBR shelf. So this is a drawing of a bookcase that has all of my unread books on it. So it's kind of like, and I like to mark them off as I read them to kind of track to see how many unread books I have, I guess, completed throughout the year. Sometimes I tend to buy a lot of books and read those instead of reading the ones that I do already own. So this theoretically tries to stop that, or just like it gives me a visual representation, quick at a glance of what I have on my shelf and what I haven't read. I do add the books that I buy to the end of this, so I can kind of see, like if I look back on this footage, I can see like how many I've bought to see how long my TBR has grown, but it's not. Yeah. So this little banner thing on the top, I use this stencil to draw it because I'm not a super great artist, so stencils are really good for this type of thing. So down at the bottom, I've assigned a color to every single month. So if I read a book in that month, then it gets marked off with a color. So I just drew in all of these books, filled up the shelves with like lots of messy pictures of books, and then just write in the titles afterwards. So these bookshelves span 2 pages. I don't have so many unread books that I need more than these 2 pages. Actually, I think it only went up to maybe the first shelf on the second page, so that's looking good for me. A lot of my unread stuff is manga, so I'll get through that pretty quickly, but what we're really worried about is the novels. So yeah, that's how it ended up looking at the end. And I forgot to put something there, but it'll be up here later. Next is the first of my reading challenges, and it is the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. I tried to do this last year, but I kind of fell off of it. But it's just kind of like a list of challenges. Like, you know what a reading challenge is. It's just a bunch of different categories or like different types of books that you can read towards the year. So I write down the challenges on one side of the paper, and then the book that I read that fulfilled that challenge on the side. Sort of what I want to do is just kind of read what I want to read, and then fill them in where they fit, if they do fit, and then maybe halfway through the year I'll try to maybe read specific books that fulfill these challenges. So it goes on to this other page, and yeah, so there's main challenges, and then there's like a bonus section at the end, which are kind of like, I guess, bonus challenges. But it seems like really fun and something to like work on, so I'm excited to do that. The next page is series I need to finish. So these are all the series that I have started and I want to finish. So this page includes like novels and some graphic novels at the end. It doesn't include manga because, surprise, there's another page for that. So yeah, so the system that I came up with for this is to write out the series and write the amount of like books in that series, and then so all of the numbers are written in pencil, and then the copies that I own, I'm gonna trace over that number with pen, and then after I've read it, then I put an X through it. So that helps me keep track of like what I've read and what I own and what I still need to get. It does get a little bit complicated with something like The Diviners, where I read the first one on audiobook and I don't own the audiobook. Like, I don't own a physical copy of this book. So the first number is left in pencil, but it's crossed off with marker. So once I'm planning on buying a set of the books, I just can't decide which versions I want, so because I'm indecisive. So that's where the system kind of like falls a little bit short, where I don't have I've read the book but I don't own the book. So but I think it still works out pretty well. And then I've just got like another side of this in case I get more series, start new series, because you know that's how these things work. And then next is my manga spread, and so this spread is set up exactly like the other one. So I've included some things on here that I have read and some things that I haven't finished. Some things I've finished and some things I haven't finished, but it's basically the same as the other one. So this next section is super niche, and it is my news CD DVD collection. So news is my favorite Japanese idol group. I've been a fan for a very long time, like, I don't know, 13 years or some ridiculous number like that. So they have a lot of CDs, and I want to collect all the CDs, and they have different versions and stuff like that, and so I always lose track as to what versions I actually have. So I decided to make this checklist and keep track of what I have and what I don't have. So this little symbol up here is just kind of like a symbol that they've used in the past, and it's just supposed to like represent each of the members and a letter in the word news, NEWS. So yeah, so I made like printables. Last year I like printed off pictures of every single cover and like cut them out and glued them to the page, and that was a lot of work. So this year I made like printable checklists with the versions and what they're labeled as. And I shared this with a bunch of friends on like my fandom Twitter, and it was really popular, and so I'm glad that I made that to help out everybody. So yeah, I thought this was like a really good way to keep track of all of my stuff. So I've got 2 pages for singles because they've been around for a long time. And then there is also a page for their albums and their DVDs. So the singles page, actually, I forgot one of their singles, so I had to reprint it and like add it on top of it, but you know, it's fine. And then I guess once they release new things, I might wait a little bit. I might wait a little bit to update them. I'll have to add updated versions once they release new things, but you know, that's a problem we'll have to cross when we get there. And so I'm gonna print out some Polaroids. I got this like portable Polaroid printer where I can print off stuff from my phone, which is really cool. It's like the Instax Mini Link. So I just print off pictures of idols in Polaroid format, and it's like super great. And then I have this special news like official washi tape. This came with a calendar of theirs for like from many years ago, and I've been very precious with it. I think this is the first time I've ever used it. I might have used it in that calendar a little bit, but I'm like, there's only one place you could have gotten this, and once I'm out of this, I'm never getting it again. So I really don't want to, I want to use it like very sparingly and use it in places that matter. So this, I feel like this is a good place to use this news washi tape. So yeah. And all the other washi tape that I'm using on these pages are like in their like specific member colors, so I thought that was cute of me, I guess. It does make these pages a little bit heavy, and like you automatically like flip to them, but you know, I don't have a problem with that really. But I thought it was a cute spread idea, so I ran with it. And then I labeled each page like actually very messily, and I'm kind of mad that I didn't really take more time to write out these words, but you know, I guess that happens. Okay, so next I have this page that I'm calling 2020 Moments, and this is something that I came up with at the end of last year, and it's just kind of like a thing to write down, like big things that happened to you that month. Um, Kind of like, oh, a concert that you went to, or like an achievement you achieved, and I'm just gonna like write out the month, and then after that month, like review it, and then just write down like quick reference, cool things that happened, or things that I did, that sort of thing. So it's kind of at the end of the year, it'll be like a year at a glance. And then we have the future log, which I have already filled out most of, because I didn't want to spend the time in this video writing out all of the dates in the month. So this is just a place where I can have a quick reference to things that are coming up, because I only make my monthly spreads like right before that month starts, so I need a place to put down any future dates, like any weddings or events or like release dates for whatever coming out. I just write them underneath that month. This is probably the most annoying spread that I've ever made in my bullet journal. I hate making this one, but it's probably one of the most useful ones, so it's really, really necessary. Some people do this like on 2 pages, but I feel like with this setup I can fit everything on just this 1 page, and I don't really want it on 2 pages. I feel like that would be too annoying. I need like just 1 page where I can just go and look at everything. Next 2 pages are things about work, so you don't get to see those. And then I have my savings tracker. So this is just kind of like where I track how much I've put into my savings account. I'm not going to start this right away because I am saving up to buy a car, and I'm going to be doing that soon. So after I buy the car, then I'll start the savings tracker again, and I'll kind of put the month that it has started in. And then and just every bar is $1,000. And then down at the bottom I have this tracker for this Sakura figure that I pre-ordered. It's like a really big like anime figure from Cardcaptor Sakura. It was around $300, and I pre-ordered it sometime in the middle of last year, and every month I put away $20 for it, so that by the time I have to pay for it, since it was a pre-order, by the time I have to pay for it, I will have enough money saved up for it. So that's just been something that I've been doing, and it's only $20 a month, so that's no big deal. And I just kind of fill in the trackers with highlighter every single month. And I messed this up and did it in $200 increments instead of the $100 increments, but you know, I guess that's, we just write over it. It's fine. It's fine. And then there's some space on this page where I can fill in more, I guess, savings trackers. And if I end up, like, if I save up a bunch of money and then end up having to use that money, then I can, like, cross one off and be like, oh, I spent that, so now I have to start over. And I can add more rows towards the end. So it's maybe not the most effective savings tracker, but it still works. And then the next page is bill payments, which I'm not going to fill in a lot of because I don't want you all up in my finances. I used to do like a tracker chart where I would like cross everything off as I paid it, but I do direct deposit, or not direct deposit, automatic payments, so I just keep track of all of the I guess just how much everything costs. And then next we have my goals page. So this I decided to do sort of like a scrapbooky type thing with these sticky notes. I don't know, I was experimenting. I think it turned out pretty good. So I have 3 categories of goals on here. I have YouTube, reading, and work goals. I also have another section for Taekwondo goals, but those are on a different page because that's a little more involved and it's kind of its own section. So I just glued down these sticky notes, and then each one is a different type of goal. Last year I feel like I set a bunch of goals and didn't really achieve them, but I mean, things happen in the middle of the year, and things change. I had a really big change last year, so everything got thrown off. My whole life schedule changed, so I had to kind of rework my priorities, and it took me a whole year, or like half a year, almost a whole year, to kind of rework that, but I think I'm in a good place now. So I just have things that I want to accomplish. Work, we don't need to talk about my work goals, but YouTube, I want to increase my engagement. I want to do some more networking and like grow my channel more, but I also want to make better quality stuff. So yeah, it's all about this year, instead of like subscriber numbers, it's more of like building, community building, and quality things like that. So yeah, those are my reading goals. There's another video about that will have all of that in there. But reading, I want to read 20 books and 30 manga, and then do this Bust Your Bookshelf challenge that I created for myself and anybody else. There's another page for that, and if you want to participate in that, there's a link to a video in there. And then I have quarterly goals. So this is a way to break down my goals for, like, my big general goals into kind of like actionable steps for each quarter of the year. So these will be a little more specific and like kind of the things that I need to do at that part of the year to achieve what I want to do. So yeah, so I'll just like use the space there to write out what I want to accomplish, and then like cross it off or highlight it when I have achieved it, and it's just kind of like a place to put like goal to-do lists. Next we have my Taekwondo pages. So I do Taekwondo. I'm a first degree black belt, but I took a really big break in between getting my black belt and starting again, like 12 years. So I have a lot to catch up on and a lot to get back on. So I have a page here for the goals, the things that I want to achieve with Taekwondo. Things I want to do: I want to get my middle splits. I want to increase my endurance and like conditioning, like basically don't get out of breath when you run. Then relearn all my color belt pumse, and then work towards my second degree. And also I kind of want to learn how to do an aerial, but that's like a lofty goal. And then I have my planned date that I want to get my second degree, and that's in spring of 2021. That's a faraway goal, and I might be able to get it before that, but that's what I'm currently aiming for. And then I've just printed off my school's curriculum for black belt on here and pasted it there, so I have a good reference for that. And then highlighted what I've achieved so far. Next up is a tracker for how much of the color belt pumse, or like forms or patterns, whatever you want to call it, just like what belt they're associated with and what the name of the form is. And the trackers, I don't really know how I'm going to use this. I think the trackers are broken up into 3 sections, and I think the first section would be like, okay, did I learn this, and like, can I do this? Have I remembered it? So that'll be the first section of it. And then the second section will be like, I don't know, like, can I do this with my eyes closed or something like that? Like, maybe halfway through the year I'll test myself on them and kind of see if I still remember it. And then the third one, I don't know, at the end of the year I'll test myself again and see if I remember all of them that way. I don't know, there's just 3. I haven't figured out what the 3 stages are, but I feel like 3 stages for this is pretty good. Just a way to kind of check up on like what I've been learning and what I remember. Because these are things that like I can't forget. It's like once you learn them, you shouldn't forget them. But of course, since I've taken such a big break in between my Taekwondo training periods of my life, they did all like kind of go out the window. But I'm working on learning these. I know the first three, which is good. I have to fill those in later, but I'll be filling these in also with the like belt color, just to kind of give it some style, I guess. White belt, I'm gonna have to use like maybe gray to fill that in. But yeah, I have a lot to work towards with this. The main thing I have to do for Taekwondo is work on like my endurance and conditioning, and just kind of like not be able to get out of breath a lot. I do have like exercise induced asthma, so that kind of hinders my ability a little bit, but I do need to run more to kind of work on that. So that's where the Couch to 5K comes in. I started it in like October, but then just like I had family come over and just fell off of it, and then it got cold. It was a whole thing. So this is just going to be kind of a tracker for my Couch to 5K progress, and then once I finish it, I'll probably start it again or come up with some other sort of running training program. But this is a good place to start, and it helps with increasing endurance and stamina and things like that. So excited to start this again. And then next, what probably everybody cares about is my reading tracker. So I have two different trackers for my reading. One of them is this sort of like aesthetic, like number of things that I've read tracker. I used the same one last year, but I really like the design of it, so I decided to keep it. It's just like a bunch of stars, and the stars I actually got from a stencil and like put those in pencil and trace them all, so I'm not just like drawing stars freehanded here. But yeah, so every month that I read a book, I fill in the star with that month's color. The colors I've determined on my bookshelf TBR list, so that's where I'll get those. But yeah, so the reading goal this year is to read 30 manga and to read 20 books. Last year I didn't reach my goal, but hopefully this year I can. I'm really, really determined this year to reach my goals. But you know, if you don't, then that's fine. And I messed up on that one, but it's okay. So I've got like 30 on one page and 20 on the other, and I'll just fill them in no matter what I read, but you know, it breaks it up that way a little bit. And then I put down these like cute stickers that I got from Kawaii Pen Shop. They kind of fit the space theme, and I feel like there's like a space theme going throughout this bullet journal, which I'm like kind of into. But yeah, I really like these stickers, so I decided to throw some on there. Probably should have done that afterwards because I have to write on the next pages, and these are like 3D stickers, so it was a little bit harder to write on top of them, but it's fine. And then next I have the list version of my reading. So this is just kind of like all the books that I read. There are sections for the title, the author, the genre, and then the type. I guess that's like audiobook, paperback, ebook, ARC, whatever. That sort of thing, and then my rating. So I just have a quick at a glance type thing. And one thing that I did last year is that all of the novels that I read I highlighted, and then manga was just left unhighlighted, so I can kind of separate it that way, and I think I'm going to continue doing that. This list also helps with like my, I guess, TBR, or like my videos, so I can kind of break it up into months and like what TBR not TBR, like wrap up video I need to put it in. So that is also helpful this way. And then I have this other bought versus read spread. I did this one last year and I kind of fell off of it a little bit, but I'm going to try to attempt it this year again. But this is a way to track what I have read and what I have bought. Like, how many books did I read this month versus how many books I bought this month, because sometimes I buy too many books and I don't read enough. So this is just kind of a way for me to keep myself in check. I try to live by the rule where I will read 5 books, like 5 novels, before I buy anything else, but I haven't really been living by that much. So I don't know, we're gonna try it this year though. Last year I tried to do this like net thing, I don't know, I'm not very good at math, so it didn't work out very well, but just at the end of the year I'll have the totals and I'll kind of see how many books I bought versus how many did I read. So hopefully helpful in keeping myself in check. And then the next page is not like, some people have like a subscriber goals thing, but I'm choosing to do this as a YouTube milestone. So anything that I deem as like an achievement on YouTube, because I feel like tracking the subscribers and stuff like that is kind of unhealthy. This whole page actually might be unhealthy, but I don't know. So the first box on January 1st, I'm going to write down how many subscribers I have. And then every other box is up to me. I can put it in, be like, oh, I got like featured in a video, or I hit another big, like I hit 3,000 subscribers, or I did a really successful collab, or had a really good good watch time ratio or something like that. Like, not all focused on subscribers, more focused on like achievements. So and then the last page is just kind of like an info dump thing. I'm calling it notes and scraps, but I realized I don't know how to spell the word scraps, so I just kind of like made some squiggle lines there, and it kind of looks like what that would be. I don't know. So and I just this was supposed to be like vines and stuff, and I started drawing some leaves on there with some highlighter, and it just didn't look good. So we don't like that. So just a few updates, that because the other pages looked ugly, so I just added some more washi tape and stickers to things to make it look a little prettier and less plain. And this 2020 moments thing that just looked real ugly, so I just covered everything with washi tape and wrote out the 2020 moments on this piece of paper and stuck it on there to make it look a little bit nicer. Okay, so that is it for, oh, and then that's not it. So then I have my Bust Your Bookshelf challenge, a reading challenge that I created, and I forgot to put this in the initial portion, so I made this printable, and I just printed it out. I should have done this a little bit better, but this is just a list of the challenges, and I will like maybe write in the book that achieved that challenge on there. I don't know, but it's just a list of my challenges for it. I can just mark off the ones that I've done, something like that. I don't know, I'll figure out how to use it later. But yeah, so this is just a way for me to kind of guide my reading my unread books things. After this, we're gonna go on to January. So January, I just kind of did some clouds and kind of like a happy sort of feeling. Pretty much everything is the same as the end of last year. Did a little more like design things that were a little different, but I've got my goals. I want to read every day, and I want to start my Couch to 5K, and I've got my TBR, and then my book progress thing, which is kind of like an IRL Goodreads tracker. And then I've experimented with spreads this month, so this is my normal one, and then we're going to try some new things out. So every week is going to be a different sort of style, and I'm just trying to figure it out as I go. I don't know what's happening with this, so we'll see what works best and experiment later. So at the end of the month I'll show you, or in my next video I'll show you how these all worked out and try to pick one. But yeah, that's it. You finally made it through my bullet journal video. I finally made it too. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope your 2020 is very good to you, and I'll see you in my next video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more bookish and nerdy content from me. That's all I've got for you guys today. I'm Chrissy Lou. Till next time, matane!